Hey guys, how's it going? So today I got a review for you. We're going to be having a look at the new Parlux Advance Light, which is the newest hairdryer from Parlux. Should say this is a kind of a bit of an overview just to show you a hands-on of the kind of dryer. I'm going to address some of the key points of the new dryer, but this is more kind of overview of a longer written review that's on my blog. You can see the details. I'll put a link to that in the description. And I should also apologise, I'm just getting over a bout of terrible man flu. So my voice is a little bit croaky, but you know, we soldier on. So anyway, let's have a look at the new Parlux Advance Light. So if you don't know about Parlux so much, they're an Italian company. They've been making hairdryers since the 70s. I think they've had their name on kind of other products, a few other products in the past. But as for themselves, they only actually manufacture dryers. They've been making dryers, say, since the 70s. And they make great dryers, I think. I'm a big fan. So they come in, the new Parlux Advanced Light, it comes in a bunch of different colours. It comes in black, white, gold, ice, orange, red, green, violet, fuchsia and blue. This one today is that ice colour. So let's have a look at it. The box. It's dead simple. Parlux go with this kind of eco-friendly vibe. So it's very simple. You open it up. I say they're kind of marketed towards a kind of professional market as well, as opposed to a consumer market. So there's no kind of fancy gift packaging. You just get the box. Inside the box, you've got the dryer itself. You've got two heat nozzles for kind of directional nozzles. And you've got a little kind of leaflet of your warranty, basically, and instructions. And that's pretty much it for the actual box itself. Now, when you get it out of the box, probably the first thing you're going to notice is how lightweight it is. It's incredibly light. Parlux really pushed this. The last dryer they had was called a 385 Power Light. This one's called the Parlux Advanced Light. But it is worth mentioning that they are just incredibly lightweight. They're really, 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 really light. I can't really get that across. There's no way to get this across more than just saying it's really, really, really lightweight. It's sort of disturbingly light, and that's great. I mean, I have to use these things hours a day, and it's just so comfortable to use because of its weight. And that's, yeah, it's very, very light. Aesthetically, it's really not that much different from the old Powerlight. So this is the predecessor, the 385 Powerlight, and aesthetically it's not that much different. It's about exactly the same size. The handle's slightly longer on 385 on the Advanced Light. They've changed this kind of bumper on the side, this rubberized bumper, and the nozzle, the way you attach the nozzle is slightly different, and we'll come to that in a minute. But otherwise, aesthetically, it's not so much different. It's not really a big change to look at, and that, you know, is first, you know, it could be a bit of a bummer for you if you're upgrading. But a lot of the changes are kind of under the hood, and we'll come to that. And now we're going to address some of those key points. So the first kind of bullet point on the box that I noticed was that it has soft switches. Apparently, soft switches. I had no idea what they were, and I was a little bit concerned because I really like Parlux switches. To explain what they do, you've got on the bottom you have basically off, medium, and for blow speed and fast. And on the top you've got the temperature, which is cool, medium, and hot, and that's pretty much it. You've got a cool shot button on the front, which just automatically changes it to cool whilst you hold it. And I was concerned because I love Parlux switches. I say when I first used a Parlux, I borrowed one from a colleague, and I noticed straight away, like, I just fell in love with the switches, and that's why I've been using Parlux ever since, basically. And that's because you just don't knock them by accident in use. They're positioned in such a way that you can use them easily whilst you're using it, but there's no way you can accidentally knock them whilst you're using it. And that for me was game changer. That was, I was like, yep, so done. Because when you're using them, I say using dryers like so many hours a day, things like that really kind of save your life and your sanity. So yeah, I like the switches, and I was worried that they were going to change too much. Now, say these soft switches, I have no idea what they are. Still, after 2 weeks, I don't know what they are. My best guess is that when you change them, they sort of clunk into place like they always have. and they're quite heavy to sort of clunk into place. But my old ones were kind of had this plasticky feel. This one, it tends to kind of, I think it's got like rubberized stoppers inside, so that when you click them into position, you get this kind of like rubberized feel as opposed to a kind of hard plastic clunk. That's the best guess I can have for soft switches, I'm afraid. I think that's it. That's pretty much the only change with the switches, and it's not really anything too noticeable. So that's kind of the first bullet point. I was a little bit disappointed at this point, but let's move on because there's a lot better stuff. Now the second bullet point was that the body is a heat-resistant body, and this is really impressive. I ran it at the full temperature for about 10 minutes, and the casing on the body didn't actually change temperature at all. Now, I use the handle to dry, but a lot of my colleagues, a lot of people you see dry, they hold the shell like that, and they just dry like that. For those guys, it's going to be like amazing. The body stays cool right up to the funnel. And I assume that is actually the reason for the aesthetic change with how you attach the nozzles, because now there's this kind of indent, it's about 2 centimeters in, and that you kind of have to really force the nozzle on and it clicks into that indent. Now I assume that's because they wanted that heat protective case to go right up to the nozzle, and it really works because you can hold it when it's on, and the temperature at the nozzle right here is no different from up here or in the handle, and it doesn't heat up in use, and that's pretty impressive. For people that hold dry at that, it's going to be brilliant. They're not going to burn their hands, and I mean for me as well, I'm happy with it because I can use it and I can chuck it in my bag when I'm finished, or chuck it in my drawer when I'm finished, and I don't have to worry about the fact that I'm putting a hot tool into my bag. So that's really impressive. I was really impressed with that. So the heat resistant case is like a pretty big thumbs up. So another kind of advantage to Parlux dryers is their volume. They've got an inbuilt silencer and they're pretty quiet. The 385, I did a review on my blog, and I did some kind of decibel tests to sort of test how loud they were, and it was pretty quiet. And this one is actually slightly quieter as well, so it's even more quiet than the last one. Now I'll give you an example. I've got quite a strong condenser mic, so I've got a feeling that it's going to pick this up quite loudly, but it is actually pretty quiet. Now this is the kind of medium setting, and that's not too bad, and that's the fast setting, it's just more loud. But I didn't really raise my voice there, so I wanted to kind of show you what talking over it would sound like. But last night I used it on a client. I've been using this for about 2 weeks, but I have a memory like a sieve. So to talk about last night, I used this on a client, and I was only using the medium setting, and we were talking, and we didn't have to raise our voices at all. That's pretty impressive. Now, if you've got the Melody silencer, at this point it's worth pointing out Parlux make an external silencer as well. So there is a silencer built in, but they make this kind of external silencer as well. It's universal, so it fits on the new dryer just the same way as it did the others. You just click it on and off. I'll just give it a quick blast. Full and medium and off. I've got another video that kind of demonstrates that if you're interested. But yeah, just to let you sort of point out that does fit on as well. So the volume, it's about the same. At the end of the day, a dryer is going to make noise no matter what. This one is quiet, and it is slightly quieter than the 385, so it's pretty impressive. So now we'll talk about the big change, and it's not aesthetic, it's all under the hood. And the new big kind of change with this dryer, with the Advanced Light, is that Parlux have made a new motor, and it's called the K Advance, and they claim that it's got a longer lifespan, which is pretty impressive considering I've never actually burnt out a Parlux dryer before. So if it's got a longer lifespan than all my others, brilliant, because I'll take their word for it because I've never burnt one out. But to have that kind of guarantee that I'm not going to burn this one out either is good news, really. But they're kind of, when you really think about it, so the really more impressive parts of this is the fact that it's lighter than the old one, and it's incredibly lightweight, and it's slightly quieter than the old one, and it's got a slightly longer life than the old one, and it's also more powerful. The new motor makes it more powerful, and that's kind of impressive. So the new motor, I haven't taken it apart, I haven't had a look at it, and I wouldn't know what I was looking at if I was. But just in practical use, you can see, if it's lighter and it's quieter and it's more powerful at the same time, that's a pretty big upgrade, and it's pretty impressive, really. So that's the kind of the big kind of upgrade on this dryer. So aesthetically, it's not so different. It's all under the hood, and that new motor is pretty impressive, really. So now I'll talk about the kind of sticky part, the price. Now, if you're coming at it from a consumer perspective, it's quite expensive. From a professional perspective, I don't think it is. It retails at £110, which is pretty pricey. You can get it for about £100 if you look around. From my perspective, that's not a lot of money. Coming from a professional perspective, I use this thing a lot, and I think if you're charging for a service, you should be given the best service you possibly can, and part of that is using the best tools that you can. And so I don't really think it's too much of a problem. I think for a professional, £100 for this dryer, you're getting a bargain. For a consumer, that's perhaps quite a lot of money to invest. All I will say on that point is I think consumer attitudes are changing slightly towards that. I think people are more comfortable spending more on a kind of professional quality product. You got brands like GHD these days, which are kind of bridging that gap between kind of professional and consumer, and they're charging professional prices, and consumers are absolutely eating it up. So I think, if you're willing to spend that money on a dryer, I couldn't recommend it high enough. What I will say is on that kind of front is that at this price point, this is the best dryer you can get, and that's only my opinion, but it's based on the fact that it's so lightweight, it's so comfortable to use, and the switches for a start save my brain. Therefore, I'd pay for that alone. But just the fact that it's so lightweight, it's so comfortable to use. I would say I have to use these things for hours a day, and the fact that it's so light and comfortable, it's just brilliant. Say the GHD Air, which is, I think it's slightly more expensive. I think it's about £120. I'd say consumers are probably pretty keen on that, being a GHD product. And this dryer is lighter, more powerful, smaller. And the GHD Air is quite a sizey dryer. And say this is lighter, more powerful, it's quieter, smaller, more comfortable to use. That's pretty much what I'm going to say on that point, because I'm probably a little bit biased. But to kind of, the point I want to address is that it's expensive, but if you're willing to kind of spend that money, this is pretty much top of the pile for me. I would say if you're willing to spend a premium price for a dryer, Parlux is top drawer, absolutely top drawer for the price point. So that's pretty much that. I hope it was kind of helpful. I'd say today was kind of more, I wanted to just give you a kind of overview of the dryer itself. So there's a longer written review on my blog. I'd say, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. Please subscribe for more videos. I do loads of stuff about hairdressing. If you've got any comments or queries or questions, just let me know. Chuck in a comment, or you can get in touch with me. I've got a blog at lemonsodahair.com. My email address is on there, and you can email me. Always happy to answer any questions. I've also got Twitter at lemonsodahair. Thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful, and cheers.